the sun just came up. This is Lord Rick of the Paranormal Ghost Society. We're traveling up to the Lakes Basin. We're on the edge of the Tahoe and Plumas National Forest. It's a pretty good area to research Bigfoot, a lot of sightings. There's also, we're not too far from the Bigfoot kill zone, which we'll get into later. It's a story about a hunter who shot what he thought were bear, turned out to be Bigfoot. There's the Sierra Buttes. We're just outside historic Sierra City. And today we're going to climb Haskell Peak and do some hiking, search in the woods for tracks, and also try to visit the kill zone. I mean, it's highly unlikely that we're going to come across... It's highly unlikely we're going to come across Bigfoot. It's highly unlikely we're going to come across Bigfoot in an area where a hunter shot two of these creatures. However, a lot of people online are requesting video and photos of the area. And, you know, Lakes Basin is sometimes, it's a high traffic area. So, to see one of these creatures here is possible, but it's very elusive and very rare. But it does happen up here in this region. And so we're going to be turning off soon down this mountainous road where we'll park just below the summit of Haskell Peak. And then we'll work on about a 2-mile ascension to the summit. Along the way we'll be wandering, looking for tracks off the trail and go primitive. Second highest peak in the region, also one of the best views of the Sierra Buttes can be seen. As you stand on the peak to the east, we'll be looking west at the Buttes across this beautiful expanse or basin. And in this basin's many lakes. There's even one up by Haskell Peak if we can find it. It's just some of them are hidden, other ones are more well known. The hidden ones are good places to find Bigfoot tracks. So we're going to turn off soon. Got a couple more miles to go. There's about 2-3 forest roads or back. They're old wagon and mining roads. And this mountain, this beast of a mountain to my right. And you can take multiple roads to get to the kill zone. You can find coordinates online. A lot of Bigfoot hunters go up there to check out the site and see if they can find anything. However, this happened so long ago, it's very unlikely that there'll be any evidence up there of any Sasquatch, as these creatures probably bury their own or clean up their site for self-preservation so that humans are not hostile towards them, as in this case. Even if it was an accident, you know, we don't want to accidentally kill any of these creatures, but rather study and learn about them by using hair samples, DNA, things of that sort. Of course, some people claim they found strange bones and mutilations back here. It's hard to say, but we'll check it out. This is Lord Rick. We're turning off the road to Haskell Peak. A lot of forest roads. We got about 6 to 8 miles. There's Chapman's Saddle. We'll be hiking up in this area, up into a meadow, through the National Forest, and then the bald summit of Haskell Peak. This area is supposed to be hot with Bigfoot. It's my job to follow up on reports and sightings. And so, if people read about my sightings, I hope that they also check out those areas. I can't be at one place all the time, so it helps to have other Bigfoot investigators out there following up. And so I want to follow up on this case and some of the recent sightings. I'm thinking if a hunter came up here, Justin Smea did kill accidentally 2 Sasquatch, I'm thinking that it's probably causes these creatures to go further back into the wilderness and be more hesitant to show themselves to humans. Or it's what's going to happen is they're going to become very aggressive towards humans. And that might explain why some people recently have had some pretty horrifying encounters out here, such as rocks being thrown at them or their vehicle being smashed or chased. Can't blame them, can you? But we're not too far from the Bigfoot kill zone. I'd say we're about 6 miles away. We'll actually be passing by it because a hunter was on the road, looked to his right in the meadow, coming up and seeing what he thought it was a bear. And, he took his long rifle and shot at it and claims it ran off and he heard it fall or break some twigs or who knows, and assumed it had died, but I doubt it. These creatures have tough hides. It would take multiple bullets to bring them down unless you hit a vital organ. And then on an outcrop, when he walked up to go check things out, he seen on an outcrop 1 or 2 smaller bear-like creatures, half human, half how as he described it, half bear covered in hair. And it was making a motion towards him a little bit, or moving its arms, or, checking him out. Like, hey, you just shot my mom, And he ended up shooting it and it fell off and he hit it, came a couple weeks later back, and it had snowed and found a couple slabs of meat or hide. And Dr. Melba Ketchum had a DNA tested, and what it turned out to be is just bear. But they called it the Bigfoot steak, and I don't know if maybe what he shot was bear. I hear a lot of bipedal bear stories lately. It's very rare, but it's becoming more common. People are starting to see bipedal bears and mistaking them for something else, such as Bigfoot. It's hard to know. I wasn't there. He was. And we'll talk about it more. But this is the area that it took place. And you can see it's not a bad road. For a forest road, it's pretty good. But we're ascending to Haskell Peak. And there are meadows. And this is where you'll see these creatures in these small meadows. Because they got little runoffs and seasonal creeks. But it was in the cooler months. So these creatures come down to lower elevations instead of being at the top of peaks. And that's exactly what happened. He came face to face with one and shot it. I don't know if he panicked. A lot of people, they see something standing 10 feet tall. It's scary to them. They want to shoot it. Especially if they're hunters. They're like, oh, that's probably just a big bear. Let me bag it. And it turns out it could be a Sasquatch. And I tell you what, you won't want to, he fled the area, but you would not want to hang around. Because if you hung around, who's to say Big Papa's not going to come along and grab you like a rag doll and shake you, breaking, snapping you in half. It's, I think he knew what he did and what he was dealing with. If he did shoot those. And obviously got out of the area out of fear that, hey, these kind of look human, I'm going to get in trouble. But at the same time, it's like, they're not human. They're covered in thick fur, have a hide, and have bear to gorilla type of features, possibly. A little bit of both, I'd say, depending on what type of species of Sasquatch you're dealing with. But they're back here, man. We're about 5 miles away from the kill zone. I could have taken there's a back road out of here, or a back road in here. It's steep. I could have taken it, but I wanted to take Gold Lake because I always like in the morning when I do these expeditions and I come out this way, you go up through these curves, like 13 curves or suicide curves. There's multiple names for it. But a very curvy canyon. When you come at the end of it, you see the Sierra Buttes and the crags, and it's such an awesome sight. So I decided to take this way. It's a little more scenic, than the thick forested way. Of course, we're surrounded by thick forest anyhow. When I get to those coordinates, I'll be out there searching for tracks in the woods. I'm going to do a little primitive hike, no trails. I'll go beyond the meadow. I doubt they're going to come back to the same area where hunters are, where they were shot at by hunters. It's a fact is that these creatures may have not seen any humans and were curious and realized, oh shit, humans are hostile and they have weapons, It's no joke, man. I mean, there are cliffs, drop-offs. Anything could be down there. I mean, look how thick and steep it is to get down in there. Just a big-ass canyon, woodsy canyon. That opens up to this big wood valley. Like I said, anything could be up here. This is an area I've been working with the last few months. And last year we started working with it as well. The more I see and the more I do, the more I want to continue our journeys in this region. The Lakes Basin and the Sierra Buttes area. And today's just another peak we can put. Today's another peak that'll put a notch in our belt that we can add on to a series of peaks we've climbed and had successful Bigfoot investigations or found some kind of evidence. So we'll see. The shooting of these Sasquatch happened a few years ago, so it's been a while. They might be up in the trees just watching, I don't know, curious, trying to learn from humans. Other Bigfoot hunters come here, they might know it. Hopefully we don't run into any problems. I've heard that there's wolverines up here too. They were more common in the 1920s, but they're still on occasion sighted. And so you have to be careful. There are bear. I've seen some pictures of some bear hunts out here, and some people have bagged some 600-pounders. It's a very pretty forest. I mean, there's these big open meadows with wild yellow flowers. The Tahoe National Forest is one of the best places to look for Sasquatch. And I don't find the evidence all the time, but we do find it sometimes. When we even camp, we always hear some good vocalizations because we're there all day and all night and all weekend, But this expedition is just a daytime one where we continue to see. There's Forest Route 9. It actually just cuts through from the Lakes Basin up into the canyon. I call it Curvy Canyon, which takes you back over near Bassett Station. So the incident took place between Bassett Station and Haskell Peak. Haskell Peak's up here, and Bassett Station's a few miles through the thick-ass forest over the hills. It's just an old station, let's put it this way. It's historic. There's the old Sierra City Firehouse and a couple other historic sites there. Probably a wagon stop, stagecoach stop. People can rest up, water down their horses, that kind of thing. But the Bigfoot kills took place between. And so we're almost at the halfway point between Bassett Station and Haskell Peak. So we'll be passing in a few miles where the incident took place, and I'll film it as I drive by, and then after we summit the peak, we'll come back down and do some extensive research in that area. Like I say, I doubt there'll be any evidence. This happened a few years ago, and it's been heavily scoured by other Bigfoot investigators. But it's still, nobody has any footage, nobody has any proof of anything. Recently, somebody found a track up there. It looks like a boot to me. Whatever, but it's a pretty large boot. Like I say, the site's been cleaned up. There's probably a lot of beer bottles. People go out there looking for Bigfoot, and they just don't get it. There's probably nothing there. But since nobody really has any photos or videos in the area, I thought I'd do the Bigfoot community a justice by going out there, doing some filming and photography, and letting people see. Here's Howard Creek. do every Bigfoot investigator a justice and allow them to see the area where this took place, so that they can do some research themselves and understand Justin Sma's story. Of course, I'm very skeptical, like I say. I mean, you would want to get evidence of something like this. You need cell phone footage, anything, and without the lack of evidence, it's all hearsay at this point. So we'll show you the area, and you can form your own conclusions. But you can kind of see why, well, you can see how thick the forest is, why Sasquatch would be located in this region. Because A, there's a plentiful water supply. B, a lot of food, a lot of deer, a lot of food sources, berries, vegetation that they can eat. And you have seclusion. There's places no humans are going to ever see out here or get to. Trust me. Maybe there's some places that some humans have never even been. But we're climbing up to Haskell Peak. You see we're ascending. Beautiful Sierra Buttes. That's why I come up this way, for the scenery. Doesn't get better than that. So a couple more miles will be passing the kill zone. But I want people to see some video footage, photos, some aerial pictures as well as videos, so they can kind of put their own little investigation up here together. Because although we may not see anything at the kill spot, there's plenty of other areas around here you can hike and explore that might be places where Sasquatch roams. It might be a place where Sasquatch it might be a Sasquatch hotspot, or a place where these creatures come together, hunt, gather. I would like to think of them as more tribal. The hunter claimed that the two juveniles seemed to be talking some language or communicating with one another. But at the same time, he shot it thinking it was a bear, and it's like, okay, bear don't do that. Bear don't communicate with one another or have a language. So they are up here. You're probably not going to find them, like I said, at the kill spot. But I have to pass the kill spot to get to the Haskell Peak hiking trail. And then from the hiking trail, I can decide to go primitive. I don't have to be on the trail. I can just climb through the woods, hike around, look for tracks, that kind of thing. It's a very secluded peak, and I mean, there's many different species of vegetation, a lot of plant vegetation, or share the road. I don't see no cyclists today. A lot of granite rocks down here. I mean, you look at a place like this, people tend to take it for granted, and they just don't understand that there are things out in these woods that we can't explain. Undiscovered animals. We're still on 9, but you can look down here. Nice forest full of... It's so thick out there. I mean, something could be sitting by the road. You'd never even know it. They could probably see the truck pass by or the Jeep. We can't see it unless we had thermal to shoot down in there. If anybody wants to donate a thermal detector or a thermal imager, that'd be awesome for our Bigfoot investigation, so I can take it out every time we go to places like this. It's important to get funding for our scientific research if people believe in what we do. And what we do is very honest and genuine. I'm not going to embellish or hoax anything. And I hope that this is not a hoax. Howard Trail. This is do not take. No, that's not. There's a road that said Howard Trail. It said no vehicles. It's when it says that, when there's a sign, usually you shouldn't take it. It means there's boulders and you need a. I mean, it's a hell of a jeep trail. Of course, I've taken many roads like that, but you can't turn around on them. You're up on cliffs. You know, you're climbing fucking rocks. It's crazy shit. We seem to be ascending, but the view should be pretty good from up here. Oh yeah. Gets better and better. As we ascend, we got Haskell Peak to the left, which we're continuing the road up and climbing it. But you can see now we're across from the Sierra Buttes. A lot of lakes down in that basin too. It's a lakes basin, which makes it a prime real estate for a Sasquatch-like creature. I try to keep the camera running through here. I'd be a fool if I didn't. Only because the fact is, there are sightings. And so if you don't keep it rolling and something runs across the road, you're never going to be able to capture evidence of such phenomena in this region. So it's important to do a lot of filming. We're only a mile and a half, maybe a mile and a quarter to the Bigfoot kill zone. I mean, technically this is a pretty good forest road. There's many more roads around here that are so rugged you can't even get back to them, which makes me suspicious a little bit about the Bigfoot kills. Only because this is a well-used forest road by the rangers or the forestry, people on ATVs, also hikers that come up here. And this guy just got lucky and happens to come across a female Sasquatch with its two young juveniles on the side of the road up here. And usually anytime I get Bigfoot evidence, tracks, anything, sightings, I have to it's very rugged to get back in there. And not only is it rugged, but you usually have to go quite a ways on foot. Nothing gets handed to you in this field. Lakes Basin's huge. That's the Tahoe National Forest. We're on the edge of the Plumas National Forest as well. It's, what's the difference? A mile, 2 miles? It all blends together into one. Therefore, this whole area, that's why this whole area might be a good Bigfoot hot zone. Because, when you look at it, what I just filmed for you guys, there's nothing out there. It's just lakes, valleys, canyons, dense forests, and places where there are no roads or trails, where very few people are going to venture. So these creatures might be curious when they see a human because maybe they've never seen one. If they have, it doesn't happen often, just like we don't come across these creatures very often. But nobody ever has any clear footage, anything substantial that we can study scientifically. So my goal is to always take a scientific approach, and we'll do some honest filming and put together a nice documentary about Haskell Peak and the Bigfoot kill zone. We're only 1/8 of a mile. And that way people can, study this area a little further. Not just the Bigfoot kill zone, but the area as a whole. Because the Tahoe National Forest is well renowned for its Bigfoot sightings. We've had quite a few experiences. I was chased once by one of these creatures up in the Desolation Wilderness, which is a part of the Tahoe region. The Tahoe Forest. But most of the Tahoe Forest is north of Lake Tahoe. It's not even on really Tahoe, as most people say. It actually expands much further beyond North Lake Tahoe, easily for 30 miles, 40 miles. Yeah, I mean, millions of square acres of just rugged wilderness. Continuing to climb. It's a half mile to the kill zone. There was a couple mines. There was actually a kind of a ghost town back here as well, called Antelope. And then, you get these forest roads, because back in the day they were stagecoach and mining roads, some of them. Not all of them, but some of them were. The ones that branch off might go to old abandoned mines. And since there are some large abandoned mines in the area, the meadow's coming up to the kill zone. It's safe to say that these creatures might be living in those mines or utilize those tunnels. Somewhere down in this valley is supposed to be where the kill zone is, near about 0.2 miles. It says 0.2 miles. It's where the coordinates lead. Oh. Some nice rare birds around here. Some quail running around. The coordinates are marked right up here. Should be a meadow. This is 0.1 miles. I don't know how he would have seen a Squatch in this area. It's pretty dense. Yeah, this is the coordinates. Supposedly, this is the Sasquatch kill zone. Haskell Peak's up here. I mean, there's a pull-off area right here. I'm thinking, he says he claimed that he looked to his right. It depends which way it comes. If you're coming from this way, you'd be looking up towards that way, but generally, from what I've read, it's this meadow area. This is really not a meadow. People are like, oh, it's the meadow, it's the meadow. But this is supposed to be near the Bigfoot kill zone. And nobody's filmed it, now I know why. I mean, this isn't no open meadow. So I don't understand how he could drive by and be like, oh, even if there was a bear, look how high the brush is. It's up to my waist. So if it, unless it was standing up staring at him, that's what he claims. And then he had gotten out of his truck and shot it, or, it ran off. And then he claims that he encountered another one on a rocky outcrop. But I don't see anything like this. But if you go back on the road down here and you look down, there is a meadow, a green meadow here. And there's rock formations around. So maybe it was down in here. But if he shot it from his truck, unless he was back here and shot it from a great distance. We're going to have to do more work later and walk around, and I'm going to check this out. I got to know, man. I mean, I gotta see, maybe there's a huge open area beyond these trees that looks down into a meadow, but it's rugged to get down there. And so I don't know, maybe he did climb down in there. It's very secluded. This is a meadow very few people would probably go. I mean, would you go through that? But down here it might be more accessible. I don't see any signs of humans or anything. But it marks, the coordinates are marked here. And you know, who knows if they're accurate. Multiple sites have the same coordinates. But you can see, if he said he looked over and in the meadow seen a bear, or what he thought was a bear, you can see there's really no meadow. There's a lot of rugged plant life on both sides of the road in dense forest. So what I'm thinking is, it's very possible the coordinates are off a little bit, and he was looking down into this meadow, but I won't know until I walk up here and look at least. Let's see. You know, it's good for me to at least walk and check it out. Here we go. Haskell Peak's up here. We'll be climbing it soon. Not through the brush, so we have an easier way to get to the top. Oh, here we go. Yeah. There's no way a long-range rifle would make that shot. That meadow's way out there. Probably a half mile, if not more. When we go back up the road, I'll take it slow. There's a huge open area. It looks down into the meadow. We can see if there's a little trail to going down. That'd be my only thought. But according to him, you know, he just got out of his truck and fired from his truck. There's nowhere to fire. It's very overgrown everywhere. Yeah, you can look down into the meadow between this brush, and if you go further up, there's like a wash or a canyon that has no trees, that looks down, but it's still far away, you know, still a half mile down into there. And so if he shot him, he'd have to also hike down there and leave his truck and all that jazz. And you don't hear much about that. You don't get good distances, you know, 80, 100 feet it stood, and then it took off into the meadow and dropped, you know, a few seconds later. You don't get really a good idea, because it sounds like this all took place near the road. But then here I am at these coordinates, and it turns out that there's really no meadow. It's very overgrown. I mean, it drops straight, not straight off, but you can see right here, it's just very steep going down. So, you know, if something dropped down in that brush, it'd be hard to find. We'll come back later. I'm going to get climbing Haskell Peak. I'll try to go down in there and do some investigating and research later. If these are the coordinates. It don't mean they're right. You know, these are, just because it's on the internet don't mean it's accurate. This could be just a general area. But you can see it's very dense and not too many open places to accidentally shoot a Sasquatch. Maybe here. But, like I say, this is not really a meadow. This is fresh trees and brush growing right here. It's part of the forest. There's, you know, the trees are small right now, but when these get larger, it'll be very dense. But I want to check back in the woods over here, and I got some other places around here. We'll check for tracks and do a little story on the Bigfoot kills here in the Sierras up at Haskell Peak. I think we gotta go to the Ron Howard Trail. And again, folks, you know, we have a little meadow up here. Like I say, the coordinates could always be a quarter mile off. See that? So we don't really know for sure where the Bigfoot kills took place, except in this general area, which is okay with me, because it just means if that's true, then it means these creatures are up here, and they're not necessarily going to be in that area. They could be a quarter mile, half mile, 2 miles down the road, hiding up in the woods. But he claimed it was a meadow and a big open area. We're going to go ahead and turn around. I think the Ron Howard Trail is what we take. Yeah. It's a nice view up here. But I'm not sure. I mean, they show a hiking trail right here that goes up. I don't know if that's Haskell. I mean, this is Haskell Peak, so we'll see, though. It says there's a parking lot. I believe there is even, it says trail on my notes. 11E02. So, I mean, we should see that marked, you know?
Yeah.
It's a very popular area at this time of year because it's one of those peaks a lot of people can climb and access. Even older people who are 60 years old can do it without much hassle. I mean, it is uphill. You got to exercise, but nothing that's going to do long-term harm. If anything, it's good for your cardiovascular or upper body and lower body. Get the hiking and the heart pumping. Nice uphill climb to the peak. But I just don't know, man. I don't think I went far enough. It says on the sheet 9 miles. Other one says 8. I've gone around that, but maybe I should just go a couple miles further. Find it eventually. I don't think those coordinates are right. The guy said there was a meadow. But if you go past this area, there's a meadow with a bunch of rocks. It's kind of... I could see something sitting on a rocky outcrop coming up. That kind of fits the description, which will, when we're done climbing the peak, we'll go check out these Bigfoot kill zones. See if we can find some tracks or something. Bigfoot sighting areas. Kind of follow up on some online reports. Work together as a whole in the Bigfoot community. Share evidence, share finds. That's what it's about. Road gets narrow at times, man. There it is right there. I'll get it on my way back. See that big ass meadow? I'm thinking that's the kill zone because it marks it to the right, but 40 feet off the road because somebody didn't give, they gave the general coordinates, and that's the only vast meadow. But I mean, that dude shot it from his vehicle and then he went and moved the juvenile in a bush. It's like, did he climb down that rugged hillside? I mean, that's pretty rugged to go down there. But there's a whole view of it. So I could see if you seen something in the field that looked like a bear from very far away and you had a bear license to bear hunt, you might take a shot at it, I could see it. But most rifles don't go a half mile down, you can't... A half mile? Yeah. It's just a little weird. It's like my long-range rifle don't shoot that far, and most of them don't, unless you had one of those great, those AR-556s or something. Those can shoot a little further. We'll see. We'll check it out after we climb the peak. I'll show you. It's this huge open area. That's supposedly where two Bigfoot were brought down by a hunter. And then there's this area which is only less than a half mile, and there's a meadow here. This could be it too, because he claims one fell off the rocks, and there's some rocks up there. We'll have to see. People online wanted to see some footage. I don't understand why people don't document their... I mean, if this is, if you're going to sit there and do conventions and make a big how-to-do and be on TV and everything else, then you should be able to take pictures, photos, and document this. That's the appropriate thing to do. Nobody's got pictures, it's all hearsay, like I say. There's a lot of rocky outcrops, could be anywhere along this road. Still, people don't want to document their finds a little better. You know, it's like you're gonna sit there and be on all these radio shows, and pretty soon the books and this and that, and all the fundraising and money events, and you know, you make money and fame off something like this. Whoa, that deer bucked. That was a close encounter. You guys probably didn't even see it. My camera was dark for some reason, so it didn't probably capture the deer. I don't know what caused that. But if you're gonna sit there and make a big how-to-do out of it, you should re-demonstrate the incident and show it on video. Here's where I stood, this is where I shot, you know, and kind of, you know, put some exhibits to go with the story. But that's just my opinion. Okay, the road's climbing again, so that's good. Maybe we are going the right way. Should be a parking area for Haskell Peak. There's also a little lake up here we might see today. I can drive to. It's only like a quarter mile off this dirt road, but we'll see that later on. Right now, we just, whoa, that's narrow. Holy shit, I'm brushing the sides. There's the buttes right there. Yeah, we're still lined up with the buttes. That's good, because you get a view from the top of the peak here of the buttes to our right. Once you're at the peak, it's the whole butte, so you can see. There's nothing like the Sierra Buttes. Nothing like them. And there's at least 50 to, I've heard even more, a few hundred miles of tunnels in those buttes. Mining tunnels. So this creature, this Bigfoot-like creature, since those mines are abandoned, closed in, hard to get to, only have shafts at certain peaks going down. Oh, it's the 8th mile, we got one more mile. I would say that these creatures probably live underground in some of the mines found at Mount Haskell and Sierra Buttes. And then they come out to gather food, water, whatever, and by chance, you have human to Bigfoot encounters. If the timing's right. And it might be 3 in the morning, these creatures are crossing this road. So to get a sighting or some evidence is kind of hard. You got to work for it. You got to go back in the bush. Here's a sign up here. Not a bad forest road. Gets narrow at times. Just so everybody who's watching this wants to hike Mount Haskell, this is what you're going to deal with. Narrow roads. But some pretty scenic views of the lake basin. And the road's not bad at all. The side roads are rugged. You need 4-wheel for those. Which is no big deal. Those are old mining roads and shit. They're worth checking out if you're looking for Bigfoot. Because like I say, this creature likes to live underground and in caves, mines, and dens. So I can imagine that if they are seen or up here, it's probably because it has the ability to remain elusive. Here's a sign, Haskell Peak. We found it. Thank the gods, man. It's such a big area, it's easy to get lost. I was like, oh man, I don't know where we're going. This is Haskell Peak Trail to the left. Okay, so where is it? Where's the parking lot? I just seen a sign that pointed left, but I see no trail. Man, it's gotta be it. That's probably the parking area. You just walk across the road. So here's another meadow. I mean, this guy could have taken out Bigfoot anywhere. There's a trail right there, but I don't know if that's it. There's a trail going up. All right, let me turn around. Nothing's marked very well in the Sierras. You kind of just gotta look around and seek and find. That deer got scared, man. Like it was looking at us near the road, and I went past it, and it booked. Didn't book in the road. It went back down the hill, but still, it was so scared, dude. I wish I would have known. I'd have stopped ahead of time and took its photo, but I didn't see it till last minute. I was busy filming the woods and the meadows here, and you're looking for Haskell Peak. But this should be the parking area. There was a sign that pointed right there. And then we should be able to find the trail. There's a trail to the right, That might be it. Maybe you got to walk down the road and cut up right here. But we don't want to take the wrong trail, man. I mean, that might be... Yeah, see? That might be it. It was... That's an old road, mining road. There was the Haskell Creek mine. Or there was a couple mines. I have the names of them on my papers. But it points right here to the park. But I don't see the trail across from the parking area. If you want to call that a parking area. Yeah, see the sign right here. See, there's a trail. So I assume we just park right here. Let's see. Right here. Yep. Look at, there's the trail.
Oh,
it's very forested.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll be taking that up to the peak. We're getting ready to hike on out. Nice open area here. Not too far from the Bigfoot kill zone, which I find very strange. This is generally a very busy area. People want to take this trail. It's a very accessible peak. It's noted to be one of the, well, in Sierra County, one of the top scenic vista points other than the Sierra Buttes. You know, it's top line. They got better views probably than Slide Mountain, Mount Rose. Some people say Mount Shasta even. So, I don't know. Because, you know, Shasta's up in the clouds. You can't really see much at the peak. But here you get a 360-degree view of Sierra County, along with the Sierra Buttes, the Tahoe National Forest, the Plumas National Forest, and peaks in every direction. And if it's a clear day today, which is kind of hazy, but on a clear day, you know, you might be able to see 150 miles. Now, since I've been out here, I've heard some weird bird. It's like squawk. It sounds like it's dying. I heard some other weird sound. It sounded like a monkey in the woods. Like you could hear two of them. Maybe it is Bigfoot communicating. Maybe they have their own language. I don't know. But it was just back and forth off in the woods as soon as we arrived. So it ought to be interesting. I can't wait to get the backpack on, strap it on, and pipe in hand and just go up into the mountains. We are in the mountains. But let's go a little further, shall we? This is Lord Rick in the Lakes Basin of California. Alright everyone, we're on the Haskell Peak Trail. Look how primitive and overgrown. Every time we break, what Jared and I are going to do is go about 100 feet off the trail and look for Bigfoot evidence. These creatures will follow trails, if you know anything about them. Old wagon roads, logging roads. They'll stay in the brush along the trails, keep an eye on who walks by, that kind of thing, you know. I mean, they're somewhat primitive creatures, but they're also intelligent. They're not going to just step out and say, here, shoot me. And that's what makes me very suspicious of Justin Smith's story, is that, you know, he gets out, says, I thought it was a bear and I shot it. These creatures normally, when they see humans, they kind of are evasive and they truck along. And it doesn't sound like the mother and its babies, or juveniles, were trucking along at all. It doesn't make no sense. So I do have questions. There's a gradual ascension of the peak. We'll see some wildflowers. Oh, that's cool. They're budding. See the buds on them? They're round. They'll bloom soon. And those are how they seed. They drop those fall out. Oh yeah, this is a gradual ascension. The last quarter mile is a pain in the ass, but that's to get to the vista point, or the viewpoint. It's the best, second highest peak, 8,100 feet, but it's the best view of the Sierra Buttes in the region, because you're right across from them, looking down in the Lakes Basin. It's quite fascinating to be hiking on a trail like this, and if you look to the right, there's a huge log. So at one time they may have been doing some logging for the mines. There was a mine and a ghost town here too. 2 mines and a ghost town called Antelope. So this peak's registered as a historic landmark as well. Boy, it's gonna get hot today. Good thing we're setting off now and not fucking, you know, noon or something. Some people will hike here at 2 o'clock. By then they're roasting, because the sun's hitting this peak around 4 or 5 hardcore. There isn't many trees at the peak, but most of the hike here is wooded. But the last quarter mile, it opens up. There's like a meadow, and then you got the peak. Just take it very slow, very slow. Just enjoy myself. I'm gonna try to get up to the lake today too. There's a lake down a couple miles from here, and it looks like you can drive to it. It's more of a muddy pond. Good place to check for tracks. You know, primitive areas like that, ponds, not lakes, but ponds have muddy shores, is where I get some of my Bigfoot tracks. So when you come up to the Sierras, everyone, if you come up here, keep it in mind, granite lakes don't reveal tracks, ponds do. And so I'm trying to get people straight and not watch that bullshit on TV and understand how this works and how patient you have to be in this field and look for this creature called Sasquatch. He's here. But you got to know how, when, what, and you got to know what you're doing if you want to find evidence. Because if you find evidence, you can track to where this creature is hiking from, what part of the woods, maybe he's coming towards from a certain peak, but you can get a generalization. Now there are mines, so this creature, they're abandoned. Some of them have miles of tunnels. This creature could live down at the bottom of a mine. There could be 10 of them living there, and at night they disperse in the woods, hunt, gather, and that's why we never see them. But we are climbing Haskell Peak. It's starting to go up already. It is what it is. Going down's much quicker than going up. I can't wait to go down, actually, more so than up. Of course, most people feel that way when hiking, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's called Haskell Peak Trail because basically it's a trail that takes you up to peak. And there's a lot of mining and wagon roads or logging roads up here, too. This trail intersects with there's a creek. It's probably seasonal. But I'm telling you, man, I mean, this place got 5-star reviews. 5 out of 5. Huh?
Animal claws.
Wolverine? Where? Ooh. Maybe a deer trampling through here? It was an animal, you're right. See how it caved in? It's hard to tell. Because it could be deer or it looks like something with big cat maybe. You know, like a bobcat maybe or a mountain lion track. Huh? Oh yeah. They eat the dead wood. Yeah, I know.
See them do the hole and then they come out, drop the wood. See the wood dropping? See it all dropping?
Oh yeah, that's what we had on our property when I left wood out.
Yeah.
Probably the ants were eating the wood.
Yeah.
Everything in the forest is biodegradable. And then trees regrow, same thing happens.
Look at them, they're throwing it out.
Yeah, it's falling out like crazy.
Oh, they're dropping it out. Yeah. You didn't know that?
Wow.
That's
Look at that.
National Geographic shit.
Right. Yeah.
And the carpenter ant chews through the log at a pace of
Oh my god.
dropping his little leftovers.
They're busy working that log. That stump. Yeah. Yeah. What was that noise?
Sounded like something growling.
Yeah, I heard it too. Growling.
What, that sound?
Let me tell you a story. There was a lawyer and his friends up here camping, and the first night they heard growling and strange noises. Second night, I think it
Well,
picked.
it sounded like an airplane, but there was no
Yeah.
airplane. It was like,
But I guess the vehicle, the guy had a huge boulder thrown at him. It was chasing him out. I think it damaged the car. I've heard a couple stories like that. I'll have to look at my notes. But there is a couple violent encounters ever since Justin Smia had shot at these creatures a couple miles from here. It seems like the sightings are very aggressive. When people see them, they get chased out. Yeah. So this ought to be quite interesting where we're going. And it's just us by ourselves. I mean, I don't have the beard, so I don't know if I'm going to attract this creature today. The beard usually helps. If I look like a Sasquatch, they're more likely to accept me as a Sasquatch or as a wild man. And they could tell I'm a wild man. They look at the beard, they see me hobbling, they know I got some scars and injuries. They're like, this guy loves the woods, this guy knows the woods. We'll share the woods with this guy. Huh? Dung? kind of animal did that? I think people take their horses up here. What's that? Bear?
Looks like it could be bear.
Just so you know, the bear population's high here in this mountain range, or mountain. They hunt bear here, 600 pounders.
Well, it's not worse, I can tell you that.
Yeah, they do hunt bear here. That's those guys that shot the Bigfoot were hunting bear. There's also a couple tracks that have been found up here recently. So I'm hoping to kind of make headway. I doubt this creature's left the forest. I might get lucky and see something today or hear something. Did hear a growl kinda. It was weird. Keep an eye for tracks. They'll also be off in the woods. The ground's kinda dry and hard, which makes it even more difficult to track this creature. But if we get tracks, you know, we could definitely track it a little bit.
Holy crap. See all the holes?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Oh yeah.
They
Carpenter ants. Gradual uphill climb. Here's the thing. Okay, you got people, Jared, who are on websites saying that hike sucked. It was uphill the whole time. The name of the hike is Haskell Peak Trail. Anything with peak generally means there is some elevation change. You know, where there is an ascension, where you're going up to the peak or the ridge or a saddle. It's got to be expected. You don't take Haskell Peak Trail or any peak trail if you're going to turn around and complain, oh, the whole hike is uphill. Not true. Here's a flat area coming up. Uphill here and there. About 1,000 feet elevation gain. But what's 1,000 feet? I've done 8,000 feet elevation gain. Serious. What's the big deal? Okay. Time to hop. Yep. Wait for Tammy. And then here's a meadow we'll check for tracks at. See it?
Let's go find a spot up here.
Up. See to the right. Yeah, these ants and termites got to everything. Okay. Here. We'll break here at this rock. Making our way up to Haskell Peak. About a quarter mile in. This is Lord Rick. Hey folks, we're searching for some tracks.
I'll go over here.
Jared and I are spreading out. This is an area that is waterlogged in the spring, so there could be some remaining tracks left behind. But it's important when we break to go off into the primitive zone and try to, you know, at least look around for tracks and do our jobs as cryptozoologists. I mean, you could see there's nothing out here. But these, you know, you could continue to take this down the hill into a very lush basin. And you're not going to see much of anything. I mean, no human's going to go down here. But you can see, look. I mean, you can go on, there's more forest floor down below. But you got to get through the thick vegetation in the woods. And you go down into that canyon. These are woodsy canyons. They're overgrown. Something could sit up in the trees. You're not going to see it. So when you Bigfoot investigate, not only do you look down for tracks, but you look up at the trees, see if anything sitting up there and might, you know, have some rocks it'll throw at you. We've had it happen numerous times. We've had rocks thrown at us out in the middle of nowhere. 2, 3 rocks. There's a little animal trail right here. It doesn't go anywhere. It just goes up. Wow. You know, either do I see a lot of deer tracks, but because this would be a meadow a deer would graze in, but I don't see anything Bigfoot related. Doesn't mean they're not here. They may be deeper down the hill in that canyon where nobody's going to go down there.
There's some planes down there too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Nobody can get down there. I mean, you could get down there, but who's going to go? There's no trail. If you get lost in the wilderness, you're screwed, unless you're like me that knows landmarks around and how to find the road. But oh man, my foot just sank right here. Very soft. Good place for tracks. Yeah. I don't see any tracks other than deer tracks, but, you know, we can still, it doesn't hurt to still look at every meadow. We can take a gander and just make sure there's no tracks we've missed in the area. These Bigfoot-like creatures will use the trails. There's a bear track, kind of. It's a bear track. There are a bear up here. There's another one. The Bigfoot will use the trails, old logging roads, to actually take shortcuts, cut through, make time. You know, and sadly, sometimes they run into humans and people get spooked. They're like, oh shit, I'll never go in the woods again. I've read a few stories where some people won't come back out here. I don't care. If I see it, I see it. I'll still go to the peak and have a picnic. It's part of nature. It's, you know what I mean? There are wild animals. There are creatures we don't know about. There are animals we don't know about. But you still brave on. And you do the best you can to document it and study it. And you move on. If it kills you, it kills you. I guess it's just, you know, survival of the fittest. Especially out here, if something wants self-preservation, it'll do what it can to survive, even if it means eating you. No tracks in the first meadow we came across on our way up to Haskell Peak. Nice meadow of wildflowers. Meadows like these are good places to look for Sasquatch, along with some hidden ponds up in the Sierras, just something to keep in mind. We'll go back and look in the Sasquatch kill zone as well. And in addition to that, I got a couple other areas I'm going to check out before we leave about Haskell or Haskell Peak.
Oh my god, a chicken.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, no, they'll look at Tammy and say, hey, that's a female, that's chicken. They'll look at you and they'll be like, you're veal or like a lamb. And then they'll look at me and they'll be like, oh, that's fucking horse, that's horse leather. It's like, we're not going to kidnap and eat him. He's too chewy. That's not good. That's, you know what I mean? Or they'll look at my beer belly and be like, oh, yep, that's all fat. We can't have that steak.
Right.
It's too quiet out here to a point it's almost so eerie. It's like any little branch that snaps, any little noise, I'm like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? I'm looking all around like, holy shit, is it Bigfoot coming through the woods? But there's like bucks and shit. I seen a buck. So, and there's ducks besides bucks. I just learned that presently. All right, let's get going before I have a heart attack here. Hearing all these ducks and smelling them too. Continuing to make our ascension up to the top of Haskell Peak. Some fallen trees, it's overgrown. It's not the most maintained trail, but it does ascend nicely along to the top of the peak. So if you don't like uphill, don't do it. It is an uphill climb. Just saying. Now it's like a jungle, all the ferns. Yeah, this is a rock ape's paradise. This is a primate playground right here. Rocks, stumps, trees, ferns everywhere. If I was a Bigfoot creature, I'd sit right down over there. I'd put my buns on the cool earth and just smile all day long. Just be like, yes, fresh air, fresh plants. They could just sit down, eat this vegetation. I could picture that. I could. Don't worry, guys. 800 feet more to go. 800 feet. No. Seems like it, though, doesn't it? It's quite the climb. There are flat areas, though. There are meadows. A few meadows along the way. Next meadow should be up there. Can break at each meadow, look for tracks, move on. Take our time, enjoy the cool air. Cool breeze. Take in the views from the top of the Sierra Buttes, drink some beers, smoke some trees, and chill out. The ground is very soft in this area, kind of muddy. Good place to look for tracks. There's some creek runoff. There's still snow at some of the top of these peaks, not this one, but the Sierra Butte still has some snow, and it's August almost. That was a hard picture to take of that purple flower. It didn't want to come out, man. I had to take it from a different angle and hold it real steady. The wind's blowing. When the wind stops, bam, snap it. Whew. That was work. I sweated my ass off taking a picture of one little flower. Whew. 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 That was work. They know we're here now with my loud mouth. That was Bigfoot. Grr.
If I could just get one on film. But see, people are turning this into a moneymaker, like finding Bigfoot, and the guy who says he shot the Bigfoot. You know, it's like, oh, you're at all these conventions that charge money.
He shot it. Where's the evidence?
No film, no pictures, nothing.
Where's the bodies?
You know what? They just had a Bigfoot convention a few miles from here at Gold Lake. All the famous Bigfoot hunters. Lauren Coleman, the guy who shot the Bigfoot. That's not fair to people like us, who are hiking looking for evidence. I understand that the guy may have came across it accidentally, but that's the find of a century. If accidentally you kill a Bigfoot, you would take pictures and video because you would know, hey, this isn't anything like I've ever seen in my life.
Why wouldn't you take the body?
He put it behind a bush. The other one he couldn't find. The mama. There's two little ones, a couple feet off the ground, and a mama. But I think it was a bear and cubs, because when he came back a couple weeks later, there was some pieces of hide and meat, and he had it tested by Dr. Melba Ketchum, who said it was just bear, not Bigfoot. But still, he took a lie detector test and passed. Well, that's what I'm saying. I read the article recently that there's now bipedal bears. That's all they do is walk upright, and people think they're Bigfoot, and they shoot at them, and it turns out they're bears. They're not Bigfoot. So we have to keep an eye, because there's a lot of bears here, and I think some of them are bipedal bears. So, you know, I have to look at things scientifically. Now, if I find a print with toes that's like 18 inches, with me and him do today out in the woods, then I'm going to have my suspicions. You know what I mean? There are sightings up here, but you have to differentiate bear and Bigfoot. They're not the same. He claimed it looked like a bear man, like it was half man, and he was scared he killed a human, so he just like left it. He's like, he was like, he thought there'd be repercussions, but he shot it from his truck, and I get the coordinates, and I can't. It's like,
Shoot it from his truck. He was in his truck.
he gets out and aims the rifle at the meadow, but I have the coordinates to the meadow, and it's not a meadow. It's a 50-foot patch of small trees, and that's it, and then it drops off, and it is massive valley. And there's a meadow below the hill a few hundred feet down, but I don't think he like shot it and chased it down into the meadow. You know what I mean? It just doesn't add up. I'm not saying he's a liar. Maybe he believed that's what he saw, but they're making a ton of money off it. And it's drawing all these Bigfoot groups and hunters in the area, and like authors and stuff and shows. And the thing is, there's no evidence. It's all hearsay. You know what I'm saying? If you shoot down a pterodactyl, you're going to film it and be like, dinosaurs exist. If you kill a Bigfoot by accident and it's 10 feet tall and it doesn't belong here, and you know it doesn't belong here, you document that shit. Cell phone footage, cell phone camera, pictures, photos, HD film, whatever you do, because you have to be able to substantiate your story. But he ran. They got spooked and ran. So I don't know how true, but I got the coordinates, and I got a couple other sites to check out, including a small muddy pond near this, not too far from that site, that might have tracks. Okay, it's getting rocky. We must be about halfway to the peak. All right, folks. Well, enough talking about people trying to get famous and make money. The point is that, you know, it's Bigfoot investigators like Jared, for example, or myself, who go out and climb these peaks, and Tammy, who could get all the credit because we actually go out and look for this kind of stuff, as opposed to people who just tell wives' tales. You know, show me the proof. I got to see proof. I'm a scientist. I can't just go by hearsay. I'm not saying someone's a liar. I'm just saying, please show me the proof. I got to see more. This guy should have reenacted on camera. Should have came back out here. If he's going to do conventions and shows and speak and books and everything else, come out here, film it on the tripod. Here's the meadow I shot it at. Here's where it dropped. Here's where it ran. You know, reenact it so that I, as an investigator, can get a better idea of what the hell is going on here with this big, you know, these aggressive Bigfoot attacks and the attacks on Bigfoot from humans who are shooting at them and then asking questions later. You know, I'm not mad. I'm not unhappy. I just am trying to learn, you know, and clarify and teach and correct as a cryptozoologist. And that's what we do. We have to be overcritical in this field if we're going to produce the results we want in finding a creature like Bigfoot and proving that it exists in locations like Haskell Peak in Sierra County, California. Now this area was inhabited by the Madu and Washoe Indians. There's petroglyphs in the woods around here to prove that they were here. There's also some petroglyphs of what looks like some strange objects, like UFOs, and then there's a foot on a rock, a giant foot. It's just very odd. It's almost like when you look at some of the petroglyphs, like they're trying to tell you a story about these Bigfoot-like creatures, or maybe what the Washoe refer to as water babies, which are, I mean, beings of great power who often, you know, rise out of lakes or are found in the lakes around this area. Look, here's a track right here. Could be human. It's not very large. I wouldn't pin it as a Bigfoot track, but it's random, like someone came up to the tree here and pissed. But it's like, why would you walk between these overhanging these branches right here? It's weird, huh? But the Madu and the Washoe would make their homes in the foothills in the winter. When I say foothills, like Folsom Lake area, for example, would be foothills, or on the Nevada side, where you're up near Carson City and Gardnerville. You know, just in Nevada, Nevada has a lot of foothills to, not a lot, they're very steep, but there's foothills, and they go right directly up into the Sierra Nevadas. They're not as wide, or, you know, like if you go to the foothills on the California side, they're like 20 miles, 30 miles of foothills. But if you go on the Nevada side, a few miles and you're up in the Sierras. But they used to make their home in the foothills, and then in the summer months when the snow thawed, come up here to fish, hunt, gather. So they were migrational. 2 seasons a year they'd spend up here near the Lakes Basin in Mount Haskell. Mount Haskell, this area would have been for hunting, while they would have gone down to the Lakes Basin where the lakes are and had their village sites. Hence the petroglyphs we found, which could be thousands of years old, down near Silver Lake. And Little and Big Bear lakes, Salmon Lake area, lots of petroglyphs down in there. Actually, just let's, instead of naming off lakes, just let's say there's tons, or there's numerous petroglyphs found below the Sierra Buttes and Haskell Peak. Come on, a flat area. What we'll do is we'll break at this metal, look for tracks again, and I'll talk about some more history of the area as we ascend. You know, my videos, I like to mix up. You guys get a little history, mystery, and adventure. It's the way it should be and no less. Especially if you're in this field. Whew! We're climbing, maybe. We're climbing. Yeah. Nice little meadow up ahead. Bigfoot meadows. Oh, man. Wow. Yeah. We'll break here. Whew. Nice little area. Jared, we'll break up here. Dude, you see the size of this track? Look. Holy shit. I got something. What we have here, folks, is a track. I'm not saying someone's foot couldn't slip. However, it's so random. It's not on the trail. It's kind of off the trail. And it measures. Here's the toes where it starts. I don't really see toes, but it is rounded on the edge. It starts here, and it almost goes for about 16. You see that? 16 inches. Can you read it? Come around, Jared, and film over my shoulder. See that? There's the 16. You see that all the way?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got about 16 inches here. And I'm not saying someone's foot didn't slip and it was muddy. Water does run across the trail. So I try to look at things reasonably, but I still have to document it. If I come across something that's 16 inches in length, and if, look how deep. I mean, look how much dirt was pushed up. Because now watch this measurement. I'll tell you how much dirt was pushed up at its lowest point. To the top, about 3.5 inches of dirt. So something had to be A, very heavy, B, have a very large foot. Because the foot's right here. Foot's about 6 inches wide, 6.5 inches wide by 16 inches long, and the dirt's pushed up by about 3.5 inches, making this a pretty decent track to document. I mean, it's not going to get better than that. All we can do is speculate, but we have to document these tracks. And it looks like this track was heading up to the peak. And of course, beyond the peak is nothing but wilderness. There is no trails beyond the peak. Just canyons and millions of acres of national forest. Well, we're going to continue on with the expedition. This is our first track on the expedition, 16 inches by over 3 inches deep, 16 inches in length, and about almost 7 inches across. This is Lord Rick. So after the natives were here for over 1,000 years in this area, the Europeans came in looking for gold. Mining camp started. Sierra City survived, which is a few miles from here, down below the Haskell Peak. However, many did not. Antelope, a small mining camp, was probably near Mount Haskell, because they had the Haskell mine up here. They didn't just, it was so, well, they called it the Haskell Peak Mine because it's somewhere up here. We're close. And that's on the famous Blue Lead, which was one of the biggest gold producers in this area. So yeah, there were gold mines in this area. Now, I don't know where the mines are, but I'm sure if there is a hole in the ground, something's probably crawling in and living in it. And I would love to check for tracks outside the mine. But I don't know where the mine is. Look how thick the vegetation is. The Tahoe National Forest is seriously a very rugged place. You don't really want to wander too far unless you want to get cut up or lost. I do it all the time, though, and I pay for it sometimes. You spend an extra 5-6 miles of hiking, but it pays off. We find tracks and everything in the primitive areas. Once you leave the trail and you go primitive somewhere out there, you are bound to at least find one Bigfoot track. If you push all day looking. I'm serious. I've done this a long time. I'm serious. The Sierras never disappoint. But when the natives were here and Sierra City began, a lot of them were kicked off their lands, and they worked in the mines up at Haskell Peak, and they also worked at the mines in the Sierra Buttes. Many of the natives died. They died because it was these, shafts, tunnels. They couldn't speak very good English, and so the white man came in here. The Europeans, they basically took over the entire area, and so the hunting on Haskell Peak ended. The tribal villages in the Lake Basin, them hunting and creating petroglyphs on rocks, it all stopped once the miners came in and employed the Native Americans and tried to teach them some Christianity here in Sierra City, Sierraville, Portola, all these little towns that, were part of the Washoe and the Maidu tribes' territory in the mid-1800s. And one last thing I want to say is many of the natives up here died. The white man brought in illness. Killed the Maidu tribe was almost nearly wiped out because when the miners came up here, they got the natives very sick, and if that didn't kill you, the mines did. And so, this is kind of an old Native American trail we're on, where they hunted deer, and today it's meant to be enjoyed by us and cherished for what it is. So Bigfoot back here, it doesn't surprise me. There's a giant foot petroglyph a few miles from here in the Lakes Basin we went to about a month and a half ago, and I'm telling you, man, it looks like there's something like orbs in the sky, and it kind of depicts like something. Maybe these creatures came here from another world. And the Washoe talk heavily about Bigfoot in certain regions. I've read Bigfoot stories and folklore by the Washoe tribe, and yeah, he's up here. There's a lot of folklore about this creature in certain parts of the Sierras that I've been doing research at, and this is one of those places. So I'm happy to be here, happy to be a part of it. I just found a track. I'm not saying it's Bigfoot, but it is very large, very deep. It was something heavy, and it could have been a 300-pound guy, I don't know. But I still got to document it. Every good researcher documents every little tidbit, and then we collaborate our evidence as Bigfoot researchers and put it all together and hope for the best. Hope we can prove the existence of a creature like this existing. Now, the Haskell Peak Mine, about 9 miles from Sierra City, was owned by the people of Sierra City, or they had the claims were of residents of Sierra City used to come up here and mine. They had a tunnel up here. It's called the tunnel. One of the tunnels we're near. It's called the Prospect Tunnel, and it's 10,000. It cost 10,000 and had 1,200 feet of length in tunnels. And then they had the Blue Gravel and Eureka mining companies that had about 3 miles from here. Numerous tunnels. So yeah, there are tunnels, which means that Bigfoot could be living in these tunnels. Nobody's been in them probably in 50 to 100 years. I mean, we're talking 1800s these mines exist, and they still do, but you'd have to find them. I mean, the roads are kind of overgrown, these old mining roads, but they could be somewhere up in this area. They're right near the peak. They're not far from the peak. They have the Haskell Peak mine up here too, and they call it the Haskell Peak mine because it's somewhere up near the peak, which is a bald mountain that stands 8,100 feet above the lake's basin. You see, I found a seasonal creek. It runs off the peak, and it's dry right now. But if I was going to say, hey, you want to look for tracks? Following the seasonal creek might be a good choice, especially in the spring. And when I do these investigations, nothing's guaranteed. You could have a sighting that instant and not be filming it. You know, you could be sitting down, relax, and look up and, you know, see Sasquatch in a tree and he's gone. I mean, nothing's for sure in this field except going out here and applying yourself and doing the field work. And of course, I'm just, you know, trying to hike along a seasonal creek right now and try to see if I can find more tracks, which would be a blessing to help reconfirm some of the tracks we've already found in this region or have been found. So we're leaving another meadow and we're ascending again, everyone, trying to summit Haskell Peak. It's a good family hike. Like I say, there are Bigfoot sightings. People do come up missing now and then, so you never know what you might find or come across. I can't bring my gun into California, can't cross state lines, so I have no really means of self-defense but a hunting knife, you know, stun gun, mace, things like that. My bare hands if I'm crazy enough or feeling in the mood to strangle something that wants to eat me. Give the teddy bear a hug. Nice flowers up here. Still a little moist. This area recently thawed out. There was probably snow here a month ago. That's why there's flowers are all alive, because the ground's still a little wet underneath. But still hard enough where very little tracks are ever made. Very little impressions ever appear when it's rocky like this. That one I found was deep. 3.5 inches deep, 16 inches in length. But if it was a big boot, that could account for it too. Someone sliding, someone with some weight, putting all their weight to the right. It's hard to say. All scientists can do is document his finds, and then we can collaborate the evidence and see what the community thinks. We'll continue to climb to Haskell Peak. We're on the trail. This is Lord Rick, founder of the Paranormal and Ghost Society. Still ascending. We'll see the bald mountain of the peak coming up. Haskell Peak is a bald mountain. At least the peak is. No trees grow up there. Hopefully it's breezy enough to keep us cool. We're already roasting in the forest. But it just continues to climb and climb. Like I say, don't expect a flat elevation. If you're going to hike here, you're going to hike uphill. It is what it is. Yeah, there's flat areas and meadows to relax at, but in between it's uphill, just so people are aware. So go on websites trying to ruin the 5-star rating of this place and give it a 1 star because it's uphill. It's called Haskell Peak for a reason. Woo! Let's attract them. Get their attention a little. You never know. You get a call back. That would be awesome to film. You got to be brave. Try different things out. See what works. We're continuing to ascend in the Tahoe National Forest to an elevation of 8,100 feet.
Look at that.
It's hollow, yeah. The trail continues to climb up, 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 up. There won't be no relief for a while. But the next break, I definitely going to sit back, have a drink, and a snack. We're taking our time looking for tracks, so we're not trying to win a world record to get to the peak, even if we know we could get there within a half hour. I'd rather do it in a few hours so I could say, hey, me and Jared, we check for tracks everywhere
Hey, Dad.
and be thorough.
That.
Yeah, I know it's all rotted out.
Yeah.
There's Seasonal Creek down there.
Oh, yeah?
Down here. See it? See the groove?
Yeah.
Look,
Oh, yeah, I do.
that's a good place to check for tracks, dude. Right up in there.
Should we?
Always.
Are we gonna go there?
Well, no, we're gonna go up. Well, we can. I just want to look real quick at the Seasonal Creek and see if anything crossed right here. See how there's an area to cross, and see if we find any prints from mudslides. You know, where the bank's muddy. You see a footprint. Yeah, it's a Seasonal Creek. Everything's dry now. In the spring, this is flowing with white water rapids.
It's cow poo.
Cow poo or horse shit?
Horse poop.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. They must graze some cattle up here on occasion. It wouldn't surprise me.
What's that?
Ah. Oh, don't go. My butterfly's leaving me. Ah. Ah. Oh, miss my butterfly. Gonna do the butterfly dance. All right. It's a cool song, by the way, by Diarrhea Dreams. Awesome song. Industrial Gothic group. All right. Anyhow, back on track. Let's head up. Continue to ascend to the peak. Fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Rick. You're in for a ride. Yeah, I never feel more at home than when I sit in the Sierras like this and there's not a human in sight. I never feel safer anywhere but here. Like, I feel so safe right now. Like, I know nothing's going to eat me, attack me, shoot me, you know, there's no cars, there's no humans, there's no traffic, there's no crime. It's just you, me, and the outdoors. You know, we're sitting here in the woods. I mean, there's nothing here. You can't even see where you're at. We're just in the middle of the Sierras, the Lake Basin. But, I mean, yeah. As soon as we come out uphill, up the trail here, we go over to the top, that's the saddle, and you'll see the peak. You'll see it. You get a picture of it from there.
Said the last quarter mile is steep, and that's pretty steep right there.
It might be the last quarter mile. It's a little rocky. It's a little rocky pile of it's just a rocky hill. It looks like, and you just climb it up to the top, and there's a little rock tower, and you can sit up there, 360 degrees of mountains. You can see the whole lake basin, you can see the buttes, everything. I could see the trees end up there, so it must be up beyond those trees where they end. It's all blue skies past that. That's where the peak is, straight up. We're not too far away. Get ready for the heavy ascension part.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down, Tammy.
I would, but I need something to sit on.
There's a bee on you.
Don't get stung. Every time we go out, you get stung.
How it hurts, it hurts.
Show me. We're. Oh yeah. You got a little needle-like mark. I was trying to look. There's a little pinhole where it stung you. This is like your fourth time going out in a row you've been stung in the Sierras.
Feels like there's something still in there, though. Stings.
I'm thinking the stinger broke off.
Oh my god, it hurts. I feel like I'm perpetually being stung right now.
You were stung 2 weeks ago. You were stung 2 weeks before that. It's those bumblebees. They land on me. They don't sting me, but for some reason they sting you. They see you as a
Oh,
threat.
I see.
Maybe she has a certain maybe it's a certain shampoo or something she's using and they like it and they land on her and then she moves and they bam, sting her every time. You can't even move when they land on you. I had one land on me earlier. I don't know if it stung me in the ass. My underwear and shorts are kind of thick, so. Okay, we're heading uphill. This is our break spot in the Tahoe Forest. This is all the Tahoe National Forest. But they have some nice little meadows and areas in the woods with shade you can break. Keeps you cool on the trail. I had a protein, some mini muffins, protein shake for building muscle, some granola with cranberries and cinnamon, breakfast of champions, and now we'll continue to ascend. The trail's getting kind of steep. You gotta watch you don't slip and fall face first on the rocks. Excuse me. Wow. Whew. This is uphill. Yeah, the rock should be up here to climb to where the peak is. There's a book to sign, I think, too. Sign the book. I have beers for the peak. I have ale. I have hard root beer. I have Sierra Nevada IPA, extra IPA. I have, I think, what is it? I have some kind of other ale. I'll have to look. Brought some ale, some food, some tuna, spicy tuna. We're gonna have a nice lunch at the peak. But this is real steep. Woo! Did not expect this. Wow. All right, forever and a day. It's flat up there though, look.
Getting flatter.
Yep.
That's right there, right.
Yeah.
It might go back up again.
Yeah, it could start going again, climbing. But I don't see trees beyond the blue, which means the peak's got to be up here. It's a huge open area. We get up there, it opens up into the lake basin. So you see the whole lake basin. I want some nice family portraits at the top. I'm going to blow them up and put them in a big frame or something. Exercise. Good thing I stretched and took some, I had some orange juice. I know, well, I stretched. I had orange juice, took a naprosyn. I'm ready to go. To a degree. I'm still old as dirt. But I'm still going to do it. I've seen old people climb this peak. I'm not that old. I'm not at senior citizen status yet. Almost there. Right? Almost. I'm gray. That's got to count for something. Let's get flat up here. Yeah, I see. It's also rocky up here. We're nearing the peak. Wow.
Good job.
Thank you. It said that there was not only the Haskell Peak mine and the Prospect Tunnel, but there was the Antelope mine. And the Antelope, community Antelope really wasn't a town, more like a mining camp, but they probably had a general store, a saloon, a blacksmith, stables, then the mines, maybe a small little mill or a way to crush some of the ore from these gold mines, ship it on these old wagon roads down to Sierra City, or ship the ore. Oh man, I just got stung or bit, man. Oh, that hurts. Bastards. Not a lot guarding you from insects out here. You get eaten alive, man. Bees. Angry bumblebees. Some people wonder who Haskell was. Haskell, he actually had George Niall Haskell, who came to this area, and he was part of one of the Mormon battalions for about 6 months in 1847. But he came up here, had some children, 3 children. Then they moved to California for 4 years and returned to Payson, Utah. And I really don't know anything about his kids, so I don't know if the peak is named after his son. However, the peak is named after, there's 2 stories. It's named after George Niall Haskell's son, Haskell Peak, or himself, who came to the area. And one of the more earlier immigrants or settlers, back in the 1840s, it was the Mormons who came through this area. They were the true explorers that claimed the Sierras. They never did claim them. Rather, they claimed Utah. But they came through places like this. And It's hard to say, but a lot of people say that there was an article in the San Francisco, California Monthly Journal. It's called the Haskell Journal, and it says there's a Haskell Peak in Sierra County, California, highest mountain in that country. Actually, the Sierra Buttes are the highest in the region, second highest. And you know, it basically said superstition among old California miners that the interior of Haskell Peak is solid gold, according to an Edward Haskell, whom the peak was named after. So, I don't know much about Edward Haskell except that he was a prospector, and I don't know if he was related to George Niall Haskell, who came through and was an early pioneer in the area. There's conflicting stories, but either way, I mean, this is the site of mining, a small town, and numerous Bigfoot reports. So I can't think of a better place I'll want to be on a Saturday but the Tahoe National Forest above the Lakes Basin on Haskell Peak. We're almost there, folks. Got about a mile to the final bald summit of this beach. Look at that, folks. We're almost at the saddle and the ridge line. We're getting really close to the peak. Jared said he's seen it. Wow. It's a little hazy from fires in the area. I may not get good scenic photos today, folks. I'm sorry. But at least we'll get there. And you'll know we look for tracks and any Bigfoot evidence we could possibly uncover. Whew. Beautiful peak, beautiful place. Very secluded, not a soul in sight. Oh yeah, folks. We're making our way all the way up to the summit. So this toke's for you. About a quarter more mile to go. We're in the thick of things. Dude, you almost hit me with a rock, man. There's the peak up here. Look how steep it gets to the peak. But it's not treacherous, it's just steep. Moderately steep. Not bad considering there's some trails I've hiked on. Yeah. I get in the shade. Whew. Almost at I see the rocky summit through the trees. It's hard to see, but there's the summit right.
This is it though.
There it is.
That's good.
We're definitely nearing the peak. All these rocks. No more dirt. The trail's no more dirt. It's all rocky. This must be the crown of the peak. The crown below will have rocks. And then the final area will be just a hard bald summit of just solid granite. These are old extinct volcanoes, lava domes in the area. Back when the lake basin formed, glaciers carved out the canyons. It switchbacks to the left. That makes sense. That way it's not going up all the way. Holy shit. Wow. Layers and layers of mountain ranges. 3 right there. One after one another. Must have been a forest fire or a lot of lumbering. These trees aren't very large. But we're also near the peak. Less trees. Smaller trees as well. Now we're going back into the woods. Get out of the sun. Wow. Should start seeing some summits soon. Wow. Is that the Sierra Valley where Sierra Village shit is? Yep. That's the biggest alpine valley in North America. Look, we have a nice view of it. Look. See that shit? That's a whole Sierra Valley right there. It's all flat, looking towards Nevada. I believe that's it, yeah. There's a little woodsy outcrop way down there. It's hard to see, but that's the cemetery where that woodsy outcrop is. It's just a little, looks like a little island of woods way out in the valley. I think that's where that cemetery is. I'm pretty sure. It may not be, but the valley doesn't have any trees, just a few patches where the town sites are in that valley, like Sierraville, you know what I mean, or where there's ranches, or the cemetery has about a small patch of woods that come out into the middle of the valley. That could be it. The views are starting to get stellar, everyone. I mean, we're getting some good views. We're not even at the peak yet. We're going to continue on the trail. It's all uphill from here on out. So we're just going to have to just be consistent, steady, take breaks, drink. It's hot out. Have some drinks and just work our way to the peak. And you know why we take these breaks? We'll take it as a blessing to look for tracks, broken branches, anything Bigfoot related. But we're almost at the summit. Therefore, it's going to get a lot less woodsy and more hot because we'll be in the sun. That's when I want to strip off my clothes and put my ice packs against me and not move for a couple hours. Sit under a tree, take a nap, all that good stuff. Should start seeing the peak soon. There's a few summits I see through the trees. Kind of flat up here, it's good. I like when it gets flat, I can take a break. Still climbing. Look at that, still climbing. What do you think about that track that I found?
Well, I'm not saying it could be Bigfoot, but who would do the impression way down?
You mean the deep impression?
Yeah, it was really deep. No human could do that. Unless you weigh a certain weight.
Or if it would have to be really muddy.
Yeah.
But then the question is, if there was mud there, why wasn't there only one? There's a second impression, not as deep.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't there be a couple more
Yeah.
that deep? Why is it just one right there and then there's nothing else around? Like as you walk away, it'd be less deep. If it was muddy, there's nothing, dude. And it was very large too. You know, deep and large, which means it was tall. Whatever made it, probably had height and weight. Those two. It wasn't a bear print either. So very interesting find. There was a track a couple weeks ago. A couple people found some Bigfoot tracks up near here too. Yeah, so I think they're finding tracks right now. And so would it surprise me, you know, if that is a Bigfoot track that you and I witnessed? Just breaking up in the near the summit, just below the summit. About a quarter more mile to go till we reach the top of Haskell Peak. Trail's a little overgrown. Not much shade here. Pretty soon we're gonna come out of the woods, dude, and see the huge ass peak. Well, Haskell Peak, which has a couple twin sisters, but the one with the tower of rocks is the main peak, not the false peak or the sister peak. We're always going up. It's a peak. Couple miles in. Wow. We have a sister summit. That's not it, folks. And that's hella steep up. Overgrown. But our trail keeps going to the right, so we know that's not the peak we're seeking. We'll continue to ascend. We'll see Haskell soon. You don't get much shade on the trail as you get closer to the summit. And it's brutally hot right now, you know. It's not even 12 noon and it's like, oh man, we're baking. We have lots of fluids and supplies. So if you come up here, make sure you bring a lot of supplies, even if the hike's only 2.3 miles. Yeah, I see something up ahead. It's going to get real steep soon. Twice as steep as this to the peak. So enjoy this ascension as you right now, because it's going to get a lot worse. Oh yeah, I see it. Nice and cool in this spot. I'm not moving. Oh yeah, I see the peak.
Yeah.
That's it. Looks like there's a flag up there or something. Oh yeah, look how steep that gets over here. They weren't kidding about the last quarter mile being steep. Oh, we're gonna have to fight for our lives. What?
Look at the tree. Jesus.
Ants are some serious wood fucking pecking. Holy
Right?
shit. Now I was telling everybody that the peak was named after Edward W. Haskell. And they said superstition among old California miners, he had belief that the interior of Haskell Peak was made of solid gold. But then I read a story about in 1873, Thomas Haskell settled on 160 acres in Long Valley, which is Lassen County, not too far from here, not too far from Sierra County's border. He was there till 1882, abandoned the property by 1890. However, they said that Haskell Peak derives from this man because he had some property below this mountain, a ranch possibly, or a homestead. I don't know. I don't know if it was Thomas Haskell. I don't know if it was Edward Haskell. No less, maybe it was named after both Haskells. Haskell Peak, of course. This is the summit coming up. You can see it's hardly any trees. It's getting extremely rocky. A lot of volcanic rock. Up, up, up and away. Once we get to the very summit, we'll be able to look down at the national forest and the lake basin. See the Sierra Buttes. All that good stuff. There's a lot of wildflowers on this hike too. It's worth taking your time and stopping to smell the coffee or the fresh air. The views are getting better and better as we ascend. It's a hike you gotta work for to get to the peak. It's up there though. Not much further. You don't want to cut through the brush. You get all cut up. Just take the trail. You know, there are meadows you can check for tracks. This stuff you'll never find tracks in though. Wow. Gorgeous. 1, 2, 4 layers of mountains in a row. It's a ripple effect. Ripple effect. Made my eyes bulge out of my head, man.
I could tell you're like.
My eyes were bulging out of shock, not scared, not fear. Like what the hell is that jumping out?
Right.
I thought it was a mini squatch. They've been reported up here, the mini squatches, the ones that are like 3-4 feet and hairy and running around on 2 legs.
God.
Yeah, dude. So I thought that's what you were. Had to do a double take. I was like, oh, that's my son making faces at me.
Yeah.
You know, it's 980 square miles, Sierra County. Sierra County only has a population of 3,000, making it the second most least populated county in the state of California. Therefore, that is why there's numerous Bigfoot sightings in this area. This is the exact reason why. The last part of the trail does climb to the peak. Oh yeah, we're almost there. And it gets real steep, the final part of it. Wow, Looks like that's Haskell right there. And nothing grows up at the top. Whew. Wow. That's steep. Make room for Papa. Wow. Wow. This must be it. Yeah, because there's the buttes on the other side of the summit, which we'll get a nice view of. A lot of rocks. Jesus, wear good shoes. What's that? Look to your right. Holy shit, dude, look. Fucking snow. A grave. Looks like a grave. Alright, hold on. I gotta stop for a bit. Okay. Is it hard?
Yeah.
Here.
Really hard.
Oops. Oh man, this feels good. Dude. Filled it. Filled it this. Why would it? I feel so good. I'm cooled down now.
Right?
All right,
Do you feel better? Do you feel a little bit better?
I feel better. Relief. You know, relief.
Yeah.
Get this whole patch plus.
Dang, that's skill.
That's some skill.
That was.
It's called redneck skiing. Where you don't have skis, you just use your Nikes or your Filas or something that I just got.
Oh, yeah.
They're not made for rock climbing that much, but going down steep, snowy hills, perfect. You can ski the whole way. Enjoy the ride until you go over a cliff in the lake basin here. Wow. It's July 30th and here we are playing in snow. That's why I love hiking. That's why I love hiking up here. You get to treat yourself to little gems like this. This is so awesome, man. I go off into the woods to take a leak. I come around the corner and what do I see? I found it, guys. I see the tower. Come around the corner. Look at what we see. That's it. That is Haskell Peak. There are other false peaks. People get them confused. If it doesn't have that tower on it, that is not the peak. So that's what you look for. You can go on any of the sister peaks. There's good views. But if you really want the 5-star Vista Point or 5-star view of the Sierra County area, put it in perspective, you're going to want to climb to that summit. We got a couple hundred feet more and we'll be there. A couple hundred more feet, we'll be at the peak. We'll be at the top of Haskell. And I'm really looking forward to it. I picked this hike for my family, but what they don't understand, I also picked it because this area is really well renowned for its Sasquatch. And you have the kill zone incident, which I have questions, and I'm sort of examining where this took place, and I can tell you it doesn't sit right with me. I'm not saying the guy's lying. I just think in traumatic situations, people, they panic and they can't, their stories shift, and because it might be like there was a meadow, this and that, because it all happened so fast, and it's such a traumatic experience to shoot a creature that nobody's ever really had close encounters with, not to a point of where you could lift up the juvenile after it falls to the ground and pick it up and drag it into a bush. So we're almost at the peak. We're not going to get any shade, but we will get breeze up there. I don't know how the video is going to come out with all the breeze, but I do have wind noise cut down on my camera, on the cam, so to reduce that. Beautiful day in paradise at the top of Haskell Peak.
Huh?
Dude, I got bit twice by those golden insects. Jesus. There's hazards around every fucking corner here. Hopefully we don't come across a damn bear. Well, that's right. The state of California won't allow us to carry my Nevada gun, which is legal in the California, so I can't defend myself against a 600-pound bear ready to eat me. Thanks, politicians. Politicians fuck it up for everyone. I have a right to be angry. Second Amendment is all that matters. Not the state laws. Just that you legally can carry your firearm no matter what state you bring it in. If it's legal, you should be able to carry it. Shouldn't have to go buy one state to state and get a license state to state. Can't defend myself here. If I get eaten, please sue the senators of California and the governor. Sue them for me. Because I couldn't bring protection in. Okay, folks, I'm done speaking about politics, but they always play a part even in the outdoors, and your freedoms like the Second Amendment. So it'd be nice to have my pistol out here. There are some very large animals. They will eat you. Bear, that their backs come up to my damn neck, size of fucking grizzlies, man. Monster bears, those freak black and brown bears that grow an extra couple 100 pounds. They can get quite large. 600-pound bear could eat you easily. You couldn't run from it. It just trample you. Just bite away, bite away. All right, not a quarter mile, but a couple hundred more feet. Got to follow the ridge to the peak. Wow, there it is. Only one's up here. Not too often you get to have a peak to yourself. Most hiking trails are packed. Not this place. Wow. There it is. Wow. See, I'm approaching the summit. Phenomenal. You hike through the woods the whole time. And right when you come out of the woods, it's like, whoa, there's the bald summit of Haskell Peak. And I'm just taking my time. There is no sense in rushing this trip. The best way to do it, you want to enjoy the flowers, the fresh air, the butterflies. Take your time. I hear people, oh, I did it in 45 minutes. Yeah. Did you take time to smell the flowers? See some wildlife? Probably not. We're almost there, though. Nice big open meadow here. That's the summit right here. We just got to make our way up to the saddle. You see there's a peak here and a peak here. This is the saddle. I try to give detailed descriptions to where I'm at, what I'm doing, so people can also come out to these places and follow my footsteps a little. Some rare flowers up here that don't grow in other parts of the Sierras. Wow. Those are cool. Some people talk about a saddle right here. Here's a peak. Here's the peak. This is the real peak. It's a short hike, but it's a strength hike. You have to have good upper body strength to pull yourself up the last mile. And it's steep. But here's the top right here. There's two summits. This is the saddle. You got a summit to the left and you got a summit to the right. The one to the right's a few feet taller. So that's why it's named Haskell Peak. And then that's Haskell's sister summit right here. But at the summit, it's flat, and we just climbed the last 50 feet up. And we can break up there. It's windy, but there's not going to be no shade. So we'll have to eat and take our pictures, and I'll do my filming, and then we can go back and get in the shade or whatever. Wow. This is a site I'd love to see. The Great Sierra Valley, where ancient Lake Lahontan once flooded. Wow. And that's why we climb mountains. Look at that. Oh man, beautiful. Nice little climb, bunch of volcanic loose rock. No trail now, you just kind of make your way up. 360 degrees of mountains. Doesn't get any better than that. You're about to see the entire Sierra Buttes, folks, in the Great Sierra Valley, largest alpine valley in North America, at least this type of valley that it is. There's different types of valleys that are found here, but there's only one Sierra Valley, and it's great. Oh yeah, that's the Lakes Basin right below. You can see them all. Got air conditioning up here too. Woo! Yeah. Look at the view. Sierra Valley, biggest alpine valley in North America. The Sierras, the Lakes Basin. You're gonna see Nevada up there. I can't wait, man. I can't fucking wait. I'm about to piss myself. I'm so excited. Haskell Peak, folks. Haskell Peak. The man that the mountain was named after, supposedly a miner, said the entire mountain was made of gold. But so did another miner that mined Gold Lake just a few miles below this peak. He also told stories about gold, and really, when they built mills and they started doing placer gold mining on the lakeshore, no, it wasn't very lucrative. That's why these mines closed down. More than often, they'd build about 1,000-foot tunnel in this mountain, and then the vein would run out, and that's it. No more gold. But we got a nice view of the Sierra Buttes. One of the best views of the Lakes Basin in the Sierra Buttes is on Haskell Peak. So did I want to climb this peak? You bet your ass. The view, we are almost at the top. It's getting exciting. We can take the tripod, get some nice photos, panoramas. It's worth climbing. This is, to stand above where Bigfoot roams. It's an honor. One of the greatest honors amongst mankind. If you value this kind of thing, and you value good scenery, drinking a few brews at the peak, nature, nice natural conditioning, fresh air, then this is the place for you to be on a Saturday. We're almost up there. There's a stone tower. It's been toppled, so it's not as high as it used to be. But that marks the summit. Got a rock scramble a little to the top. That's about all that's left. And then it levels off. Just be careful. Use both hands if you have to, folks. I usually just truck it. I got longer legs, so it's easier, but you can still slip. Holy shit, man. There's mountains 360 degrees. There's no obstructions up here. Life is different at 8,000 feet, folks. And 8,100 and something feet feels pretty good on a day like this. Wow. There's no path up. Just make your own. Woo. Good seeing you up here, huh? Let's see. Wow. Butterflies. Wow. It's crazy. Now you know why Bigfoot's found here. The place is vast. That big open valley is where Lake Lahontan flooded. That's an ancient sea. Yeah, he used to go swimming with the school buses. Roads and teeth. Oh yeah. That's all. That's looking towards Nevada right there. Those mountains, that's, you know, the Sierras. They border part of the Sierras, but they separate California and Nevada. And there's the Sierra Valley right there. Just beyond those mountains is Nevada. Great views, man. Some of the best views in the country. And there's the tower. It's not as tall though. But this is it, man. We are on the peak, brother. From another mother. Alright, folks, I'm going to get more up-close video. I'm going to take more video. I'm going to stand by the rocks. That's truly the summit, not where we're sitting. But we're going to go up near the summit and take some pics and video, get some panoramas. And I'll get some video of what's on the other side looking down and off the cliffs down into the valley. But we're here. We are at Haskell Peak, Haskell Summit, Haskell Mountain, Mount Haskell. No matter how you cut it, we are standing on top of the world, folks. Top of Bigfoot country. This is your founder of the Paranormal Ghost Society bringing you this story. Lord Rick. Wonderful outdoor expedition with the family. Looking for Sasquatch in the midst of things. And just enjoying the view, drinking some brews and doing what guys do. Smoke a cigar, drink a brew, eat some goodies, sit back, kick your feet up, count the clouds. It's what it's really about. This is the life. This is it. I never felt safer than being on top of this peak. The buttes are 500 feet tall. So, you know, if this is 8,100, the buttes are probably closer to 8,700. Back in the day, every 4th of July, the people of Sierra City, which is just below, would climb the peak. And the women would climb it in their long dresses. This was a good old-fashioned town. The problem is that avalanches were so deadly and dangerous, miners were dying all the time. The town was wiped out, and it was abandoned for 4 or 5 years after an avalanche off the buttes. Down over here, because it's in the canyon, destroyed the town. A few years later, they came back, rebuilt it, and it almost got destroyed again. And eventually, they moved it over closer to the river, so that way when avalanches happen, it didn't wipe out the town, because they had it higher up in the buttes right there, then they built it below in the canyon. So it's a lot of history. There were 3 or 4 mines in this mountain below us. I'm I'm sure we passed the mining. Some mining. I'm sure we passed some mining sites. You can kind of tell there's some old dirt roads, probably ore or wagon roads that lead to abandoned mines. But there's like 4 mines. Some go 1,000 feet deep in the mountain. And there was gold. There's gold in this mountain. There's 3 different Haskells that came to this area, and everyone says the mountain's named after him. One was a rancher, another one was a miner, and another guy, I think, had a son, and he was a Mormon that first set eyes on this place. And so you got 3 different conflicting stories. So maybe it's named after all 3, or just the name in general. Like Gold Lake's below, and a lot of stories about gold, big nugs being taken out of there, and the same with this mountain. The miner used to claim that there's a lot of gold in this mountain. He might be right, but it's so secluded, mining didn't last long, and they had a ghost town called Antelope out here. Yeah, they're like a mining community, so that way, the miners could have a place to sleep and then go to the mines during the day and come back at night and hide up in their cabins cooking over a fireplace cooking area. Life was simple back then. Sierra City would have existed in this canyon below the Sierra Buttes, which stand at almost 8,600 feet in height. While we're about 500 feet below the Buttes, we still are pretty high up. Second best viewing area in the Sierra County area, which takes up almost 1 million acres and only has 3,000 people living in the county. It's the second most desolate county population-wise in the state of California. Well, we're in the Tahoe National Forest. Actually, Plumas National Forest is to my right, Tahoe to my left. And the 2 forests collide at this peak, which makes it a prime area for Bigfoot. And also there's about 50 lakes surrounding us. You can't really see them, but they're down in the lake's basin area. And the Sierra is a Spanish term for sawtooth mountains, as the country is known for its rugged terrain that ranges from 2,200 to 80, well, I wouldn't say 8,900 feet, but about 14,000 feet is the tallest mountain in the Sierras. And if you take Sierra, it's a Spanish, it means craggy mountain range. Latin, Sierra means saw, mountain range with sawtooth appearance. And so what do they mean by that? Well, look straight ahead. Looks like a sawtooth, doesn't it? Looks like a bunch of craggy teeth, but made out of volcanic rock from intense volcanic eruptions that developed this area, and then the glaciers came in, a mile thick of ice, covering the tops of these peaks, dragging rocks, carving out canyons and basins where lakes are today. Voila! This is what you get, man. This is what you get. And Sierra City was established in 1850. By 1852, miners were mining Mount Haskell and the Sierra Buttes, both sides of this basin. And by that time, they had a masonry, a couple churches, schools, bakery, gambling houses, saloons. And the town was crushed in 1853. And then I think around 1858, about 5 years later, it became a pretty large boom town, and it brought a lot of miners to the Haskell Peak, Gold Lake area, to the Lake Basin, where eventually many old lodges, hunting lodges, resorts were built around the lakes. And so there was 2 industries. You had mining going on, and you also had tourists. It was a tourist trap. A lot of tourism to Sierra City, the Lakes Basin, for campers, hikers, skiers. There's a lot of resorts from the 1800s where politicians and famous celebrities stayed at and came here for a retreat. And those resorts, those old 1800-year-old, cabins still stand today, and you can rent them and stay at them. So it's a wonderful area. I'm just giving you a little down low. We're going to go to the Bigfoot kill zone, and I'll tell you guys the story more in depth, and then I'll explain why I'm skeptical of the story, the evidence. I've done some research on it, and I have a right to give my expert opinion. You'll do the same when you guys go to the places I go and be like, well, maybe that was a boot print he got. We always analyze each other's work, but we still got to document it, and that's what counts. So I'm going to go finish my orange or my fruit, eat some pudding, drink a brew, take some nice pics before we make our descent. This is Lord Rick. Please check out our site, www.paranormalghostsociety.org. There's the Great Sierra Valley, one of the largest alpine valleys in North America. And I'll tell you what, it used to be a sea. The water used to come right up to the edge of the peak. This was beachfront property at one time. And you see how it looks all flat and sandy? It's not really sand. It's a pretty green valley in the spring. That's all farmland. That was developed to feed all the miners of Virginia City and the Comstock and Truckee and Sierra City. They did a lot of cattle farming, crop growing there, and that used to be a sea. It used to be hundreds of feet of water, and these giant ichthyosaurs that used to swim through there, and they were the size of whales, man. Little whales, man, 50, 60, 70 feet long. And today, the landscape's changed as you know it, so is the geology. And we are at the top of the world in the Lakes Basin, just overshadowed by the Sierra Buttes in Northern California. A lawyer and his friends had a terrifying Bigfoot experience recently when a large Sasquatch woods and something knocked back when they got in the car. Its lights hit something large and it threw a boulder or something at his fender, dented it, and I believe it began to change. Well, it says it raised a melon-sized boulder over its head, threw it at the car. The rock bounced off the fender, leaving a large dent. And they said the beast had let out vocalizations. They hit the gas, and the creature was screaming and at the vehicle. I don't know. I think, these creatures can be territorial. They don't want you in a certain area. They may not like you. They're just like human beings. But this report came from a lawyer, and this happened after that Bigfoot was shot up here. So I do believe that they become very antisocial towards humans when humans start to disrespect them. And that's why, there are incidents I read about these, because when people come here hunting and shooting at them, then you get some innocent person who camps up here and these creatures want them off the land. They start screaming. They spent 2 days dealing with this thing, and by the second or third day, it really wanted them out. Similar to the Diatov Pass incident, where they kept being warned, this creature kept vocalizing and bothering them. They got a picture of it on the hiking trail. It didn't want them there, and they kept pushing on, and that led to they ended up dying by day 3 or 4 of being fouled by it, because it was watching them and learning and figuring out, how should I get these people? They don't want to leave. Territorial, and it ended up possibly, it could have led to their deaths. And the same thing here. I don't know if those guys would have hung around. Maybe they'd have they could have ended up missing. There are small incidents. It doesn't happen all the time, where occasionally Sasquatch runs off with a child, small dog. A hiker, jogger goes for a morning jog in the Sierras, never comes back, just never find him, or they find his body high up in a cliff a couple hours later, like, what the hell? There are incidents where people are never found out here. So if people come up here like that Justin Smeo was hunting, really killed one, all he's done is anger them more. They're like a tribe. They communicate. And if they would have hung around, more than likely those guys would have disappeared, because they came along and probably just shook you like a ragdoll till you won't move, I mean, gorillas are 10 times stronger. Bigfoot, 15 times stronger than a man, especially a 12-footer. I wouldn't mess with it. I don't come here to disrespect those creatures. They can take me anytime. So there are reports from this area, and that's not the first boulder-throwing Bigfoot story I've read down below this basin, where we hiked from the bottom to the peak. They are here, folks, and I did find a track. I hope I find more. I got a secret pond we're going to check out before we head home. This is Lord Rick, the founder of the Paranormal Ghost Society on Haskell Peak. Haskell. I say it right. I can't even pronounce it. Haskell Peak. Haskell Peak. I can't even say it right. Haskell Peak. Named after 3 different Haskells. 3 different ones that came here, and nobody knows which one, how it was named. That's weird. It's like... The miner that mined it was named had that name, carried that name. but a guy that had a ranch came here later and built the ranch below, and they said it was named after him. And then it was like the Mormon guy that came through in the battalion, because the Mormons were the first to see this peak in this lake space, but they wanted Utah. They just were crossing. Just like they found gold up by Virginia City, but didn't claim it, so somebody else came in and claimed it, But in Dayton in the 1847, they were getting gold out of the Carson River. A lot of history back here. They were going to the Promised Land, Utah. Find the Promised Land. They didn't care about gold. The battalions just passed through. Haskell Peak is quite amazing. I mean, the views, 360 degrees. Used to be a lot higher. Knocked it down. It used to stand at like 8 feet. It's knocked down a couple weeks ago. So I'm drinking some Coney Island hard root beer. It's amazing. Look at this view. A lot of rocks up here. You got to be careful you don't fall. We're having drought, so normally this valley would be green, but it's very brown and dry, almost like desert. It's a damn shame. It's one of the greenest valleys in Northern California, and it's gone to almost looks like a desert from up here. But I'll drink to some rain. How about you? And I'll drink to this beautiful scenery in front of me. Sierra Buttes, the Tahoe National Forest, the Plumas National Forest, the Lakes Basin. On top of this beautiful peak. Just amazing to be up here. I gave you guys a pretty good history of the area as I hiked all the way to the top little by little, so you guys could, see substance to our videos, that we do our homework and our research. But this is the life. We're about to pack up and go. I'm saying my goodbyes, thanking everyone for watching my videos. 100% too, but nothing as intense as the ascension that I filmed today. We're standing on this peak. That's the gem of this hike. The gem of the hike is being on this peak. And of course, we have a couple other stops we'll make on this mountain before we head home, which we hope to throw in a little lake or something as well today. But everything seems so dry. No creeks running, not a lot of mud for tracks, Bigfoot tracks, just a lot of stories. I did find one track though, and in my opinion, that's a win. We want to thank you for watching our videos. I'm going to continue to drink my Coney Island hard root beer. Smell what? Rotten eggs? Like sulfur? Dirty, musky fur?
It's trash plus
Oh, root beer?
It smells sweet at first, and also it smells like rotten garbage. Like I'll get a whiff and it'll be kind of sweet, and then it'll go to like rotten garbage.
What is that? Is that my root beer that spilled over? Are you saying my Coney Island has a sweet smell, but it tastes like garbage?
she spilled before.
I know. I'm just kidding. Good times on this peak. Good times today. It's worth coming up here. The reward of going uphill paid off in the end. I mean, you're not going to get a view like this. They say this is one of the best views. Out of the top views in the county, there's only 5 best views. This is the second top view in the county besides the Sierra Buttes. So, Sierra County. And in the region. And they say other peaks in the area don't nearly have as good of a view as this. This sits in the middle of these big valleys, 2 national forests. So you get views of both national forests, the Sierra Crest, multiple peaks. You even get that big valley, you get views of as well. The Sierra Valley in Nevada is just on the other side. It's incredible what we're viewing here. We can see for 50 miles in every direction, nothing but mountains and peaks and hills and valleys and forests. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous day to be out. Some snow still on the buttes too. They're pretty, and if you go in the fall, they're covered in a dusting. It's a real pretty hike to do when they're covered in a dusting. But this time of year is nice to do too, because we know it's accessible and it's not too cold, or we're not going to get snowed in and stuck up here. Storms can hit and drop 5 feet of snow in like a couple of hours. Yeah, welcome to the Sierras. In another culture, it means snowy mountains. It's very much like the Alps out here. Both mountain ranges are very similar. I mean, when you're dealing with, you're looking at a million acres here of hardcore wilderness. When you look at something like that, you can understand why Bigfoot sighted out here. This truly is the life, man. Yeah, Haskell's not the highest peak to climb or the hardest peak to climb, but for me it's a feat, you know. I had a knee operation, I have a knee disorder, bone spurs, fibromyalgia. This is a challenge for me to do something like this, and to come up here and look for Bigfoot just goes to show you that if you're willing to put the time and effort in and, you know, try to work as hard as you possibly can to achieve something, anything can be done. I mean, yeah, it's not a 6-mile or a 7-mile mountain trail, but it's a 2-mile rugged mountain trail that gives you a lot of good exercise, and it provides a very challenging climb the last mile up to the top. I was playing in that snow below, went right through the woods and right up to the summit. Yeah, baby, that is what it's about. Token at the top of the world. Just want to say peace. Thank everybody for watching our videos. I want to say peace. Thank everybody for watching our videos. All our fans, friends, those that support us. We had a guy write us the other day who thanked me for doing wilderness videos, and he said that'll help him or prevent him from getting lost. We had another person write us saying thanks. Now I know how to take this, you know, how to get to the top of this peak. So our videos provide some level of safety, but also allows you to live the dream right from your living rooms. But if you really want to live the dream and you really want to see something like this, you're going to have to put some extra mileage in. Just like Bigfoot research, it requires field work. You don't just drive out and, oh, I got tracks, or, oh, I got a track near the road. You actually have to go in the wilderness, leave the trail a little, look around, and do that kind of thing. And, you know, collaborate your data with others, other people's sightings, and kind of compare them to your own. But we're at the peak. The stone tower's been reduced. This is how you know you're at the summit. They have this nice stone tower. It used to be around 8 feet high. And then the Sierra Buttes, the volcanic crags at the top, just a few hundred feet higher, about 500 feet higher than where we're standing. We're standing on the second best view in this region of Sierra County. The Tahoe National Forest before us. There's even snow up on the summit. So it's August. Tahoe National Forest, Plumas National Forest, it's all right here. This is Lord Rick. Just want to say peace out, man. Peace out, man. With great sadness, we're descending off the peak. My family already has a head start. I'll catch up. There's beautiful, look at that, there's butterflies everywhere. And I did manage to photograph one of the 10 butterfly species I've seen today. I've seen so many butterflies, but I had the privilege of photographing one here at the peak. Here we go, folks. Actually, I was able to film a second butterfly for you guys. There's multiple species out here, so I kind of want to give you an aspect of nature. We're not just here for history or Bigfoot, we're here for nature and preservation as well. And also to spend time together as a family is very important to me. And how we do that is through nature and the outdoors. It's a bonding experience. So I always take my son and Tammy and my girlfriend out, and we do this on a regular basis. Good exercise, nice picnic on the peak, peace and quiet, some nice family talk and bonding. That's really what matters. But I gotta grab my pack and descend down into the saddle, and then we'll head down this way. The snow is down behind those lower summits and into the canyon where we're parked. Bigfoot kill zone is right down here near Bassett Station. It's the southwest of the summit, which is right down in here. Well, the descent may be faster, it's more dangerous. You can slip on rocks because you're applying your energy of your feet forward in a forward motion, so it can throw you off balance. A rock could slip. You can't really, if you fall downhill, it's hard to grab onto anything. As uphill, you can be like, okay, let me grab the rocks in front of me. You see what I'm saying? So I gotta be really careful. These rocks are loose and there's no trail. You just make your own down. I'm coming. A lot of miners were superstitious, and they had a lot of strange tales up here. Just like the Washoe and the Madu. They had some stories about Sasquatch as well. It's quite phenomenal, this area. Just like I say, being here is what matters, man. Just about being here. Just being a part of it. It's awesome. Descent. If I don't fall, I'll be amazed. I'm not wearing any hiking boots. Just some Fila sports sneakers. You know, something you'd play basketball in. Yeah, always have proper footwear. Don't do what I do. Don't try this at home. Actually, don't try this outdoors either. No, but I'm fine, man. I've done alright hiking. I've been able to get a stable grip on the ground. It's still a little unsteady, a lot of loose. Almost at the saddle. It gets a little easier when we get lower at a lower elevation. I think we got about 2.3 miles to go, 1,000 feet elevation loss, and the descent. My bag's lighter also. We ate all sorts of things. Oranges, fruit snacks, cakes, healthy cakes, you know, fiber ones. Mozzarella sticks or cheese sticks. Oh yeah, tuna fish. Just good stuff, granola. So it's a nice picnic. And now we're going to descend off the peak. This beautiful, monstrous peak.